Tanya for the 22nd of Av, but first the story. The A certain chassid at a festive meal of Reb Yitzchak Meir of Ger said a story about Reb Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev. And the story goes like this. One of the students of the Reb Levi Yitzchak Berditchev was a ox trader, an ox dealer. And it happened once that the prices of his oxes, which he had a lot of, oxen, dropped so low and he anticipated tremendous losses. He didn't know what to do. And as a chassid does, he rushed to the Rebbe, Reb Levi Yitzchak Berditchev, and he asked him, what should I do? When should I sell? Should I sell now? Will the price maybe go up? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? And Reb Levi Yitzchak said, if there's any particular mitzvah that you enjoy especially, and that you're engaged in, which one is it? And he said, I'm a moyel. I do bris milah. That's a mitzvah I love. That's a mitzvah that I do often. And so Reb Levi Yitzchak said, if that's what you do, let me tell you like this. If God forbid there's ever a situation where the bleeding doesn't stop, what do you do? And the Moyle explained his remedies and what he deals with it. And the Levi Yitzchak just says, if you ever encounter a situation where even all of this doesn't work, let me give you a remedy. You'll use that remedy, and that remedy will be able to fix the bleeding if the bleeding doesn't stop. So the Chassid was very grateful and he said, thank you so much. But he asked Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, well, what about my oxen? Should I sell? Should I not sell? Should I wait? What should I do? And Rabbi Levi Yitzchak said, I told you already. If you have a situation where you're doing a millah and the bleeding doesn't stop, then this is the herb you should use. And so the chassid said, okay, and he left the Yechidus of Levi Yitzchak. The Ger Rebbe stopped the chassid at this point and said, from the story, it's very clear that this person was a genuine chassid because he didn't question the Rebbe any further. He just accepted the fact that he didn't understand how the question is answered by the answer, and he left it alone. So the chassid continues the story, and he says that this ox merchant started heading back home, and along the way he stopped at a inn. And when he was at the inn, he was talking with the innkeeper, and the innkeeper mentioned in passing that he has a boy. The boy is quite old, not old, but like he's already a few years. That's what it sounds like from the story, or at least an infant beyond when the eighth day of the circumcision is supposed to happen, and he still hasn't done the circumcision. So the Moya asked why not, and he said the two earlier sons had passed away because of the circumcision. The blood didn't stop, and therefore he he didn't want to circumcise. Halachically speaking, he's allowed to not circumcise because, of course, with the guidance of a Rav, but because this is a very dangerous situation. He said he doesn't know what to do. On the one hand, he wants to do circumcision. On the second hand, this is a third son, and so the man told him, "I'll do circumcision." And then he said, I'm not willing to agree to let you do the circumcision. It's not because I can't find someone to circumcise it, because I don't want anything to happen." So they started talking to each other, and they came up with an agreement like this. The Moyo was going to give 400 rubles to this innkeeper to hold. If anything was to happen to the child, he would keep the money. And if the circumcision went successful, he'd return the deposit, and he'd give him 400 rubles on top of it. The Moyle agreed to the terms. He knew that the Levi's competition was clearly talking about this, and this remedy was for this child. He understood that clearly, and the father wanted there to be enough responsibility for the Moyle that he wouldn't treat this lightly, and that everything would be fine. And if not, this Moyle would lose a fortune of money. There was enough on the table, so both of them agreed to this. 400 rubles, an absolutely astronomical amount of money, and the father said, "Sorry, one other deal. You're not to leave for 4 weeks. You have to stay here to watch my child, because if something happens, I need to be around." They agreed, and so they did the circumcision, and sure enough, it was very, very dangerous. The bleeding didn't stop. The Mo did all his regular remedies. Nothing helped. He was shocked, but then he remembered Levi Yisrael with the Shiv's remedy. He quickly grabbed the little pouch that Levi Yisrael had prepared, and he put it on the circumcision, and it stopped. He was shocked, and so was his father. And the child started recovering, and suddenly the Moyo, who's also an ox merchant, hears the news that the prices started rising to regular prices again of oxen. And he went to the father and said, "Listen, the child's fine. Let me go home." And the father said, "No, a deal's a deal. 4 weeks." And he said, "4 weeks is an ages from now. I have no idea what's going to happen to the prices. It's been so low, and now it's at regular." The father said, "A deal's a deal. It's not happening. I don't give you permission." And so they argued, but nothing happened. The father said no, and he had a deal. He couldn't break it. And he started hearing news. The prices of oxen not only were at regular limits, but it actually now could make him a profit. He could actually make a fortune of money off it. He begged the father again, and the father would not agree. And the weeks went painfully slow as the prices went higher and higher. And he understood if they're going to drop, they're going to drop suddenly and without warning, and that was going to be everything. And he begged and pleaded, and for 4 weeks straight, the father would not agree. And finally, the 4 weeks were over. The father told him, "Here's your money, your deposit. Here's the 400 ruble on top of it. You could go home." He rushed home as fast as he could. By the time he reached home, the prices had reached levels he'd never seen. He sold his oxen for a tremendous amount of profit, and the very end of the story is the storyteller who said the story in front of the Ger Rebbe said that when he finished, he rushed back to Levi Tzvadishev and he gave Levi Tzvadishev some of the profit that he made. And the Ger Rebbe said, Why tell that part of the story too? That's not the part of the story that's needed to be heard." The Tanya so far is talking about Chalkenu, and we spoke about in the middle of letter number 7. We spoke about the fact that Hashem interacts with the world on two different levels. On a level that has no relevancy to the world, Hashem is absolutely everywhere, but unable to connect to the world. And also, we spoke about the fact that Hashem's energy is broken down. That Hashem has His name, and from His name itself, the energy that radiates off from it is broken down and broken down. So this energy of Hashem radiating from the name of Hashem, it it animates, it gives life to an infinite amount of worlds, all of them concealed, and like it's written in the Zohar. And even so, when it comes down into this world being broken down, it animates all the things inside this world, and it comes down to 613 channels, highways, rays, partition, sections that represent the 613 mitzvot Torah. Shahain, he nechakot hayakal mitzvot hayag neged hayag mitzvot Torah. Shahain, hain, tayag minam shachas ha'ara zum erin zebaruchu. Then this represents the 613 commandments, which are 613 highways to transmit this unlimited energy of Hashem, which illuminate the soul, which also incorporated 248 organs and 365 sinews, which is 613. So we see that the animation of the human and the animation of the entire world and everything in the world all goes by a highway of 613. And why is it also that a human being has this 613? Because 613 represents what the purpose of the world is. The purpose of the world is a person, and a person, therefore, is what the function of all the things that are created in this world all go by way of the person. Therefore, the person is the greatest representative of what this energy down in this world represents. This is a general number, the 613. When you actually talk about in a more specific way, the Hashem's infinite light coming down into this world in a more micro version, it's not just 613 as you can imagine, it's an unlimited amount of number. You see that mitzvahs, even though there's 613 mitzvahs, that's not all that we do in our life. When you open up a Shulchan Aruch, it doesn't just say 613. There's an infinite amount of things we need to be doing, an infinite amount of subdivisions within every single mitzvah. And that's a representation of also the energy of Hashem. And there's all the details of the mitzvah which have no number. It's infinite. Like it's written in the Shir Hashem Rabbah that the 60 are the queens, it says in Shir Hashem, and this represents the 60 Masechtas, the 60 tractates. But that's regarding the actual Mishnah. But for Alamis and Mispa, when it says maidens without any number, it represents the maidens which come from the queens from the Mishnah itself, the laws that could be developed from those and derived from those, there's unlimited. And this is the flow of the supernal wisdom of our will of Hashem. It flows into the general categories. In this case, the 613 mitzvahs, but from every mitzvah, it's unlimited. The details and the laws that can be developed from those are endless. And this doesn't just apply in the Torah, but it applies from in the soul of a person. All the souls of the world are all included within Adam. Adam had the general soul. His soul can be divided into 613. But his soul isn't just divided into 613 sections, but it's actually divided into an indivisible, immeasurable amount of sparks from his soul. And what are those sparks? The souls of every single Jew. And all the souls are included within the soul of Adam Rishon, which means all the souls of the Jewish people from the days of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov until the times of Mashiach, and including the times of Mashiach, all of those are included in the soul of Adam Rishon. So even though Adam Rishon has 613 divisions within his soul, that's just on a very small level, but on a more general level, every single soul is included within his. And this will fulfill the promise that Hashem made to Avraham Avinu and made to the others in general, that the Jewish people will have the number of the Jewish people like the sand of the sea, and immeasurable and uncountable because of how many Jewish people there are. So what we're seeing is two different ideas. There's the idea of the general flow that comes into the world, and the flow that then subdivided. We see the same idea in Torah, and we see the same idea in souls itself. Whether it's the actual Mishnah and then all the laws that derive from those, or whether it's the soul of Adam Arishan and then the breakup of that soul to all the single souls that exist throughout the history of from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov until Mashiach and beyond. Thank you so much for joining the Tanya. The Tanya is Ilin Nishmas. Ilin Nishmas. 5 of days ben Yamin Levi, Moshe Aaron HaKohen ben Yosef, Reuben ben Emmanuel, Aaron ben Avram, Esther was Moshe Mordechai Simchas Sviva Shonrezi, Elio Moshe ben Avram, Sarah Miriam Bas Chaim ben Yamin, Chaim Bas Shem Avram for Shem Yakman Aaron ben Asbat Caleb ben Chaim Moshe ben Esther ben Achmed ben Lido, Rebas Yanom Yosef ben Shana and Nonas for Shlemo, sisters all the Jews around the world, especially as Sean, sisters all the defended Jewish people and speedy coming. Mashiach, have a wonderful, very successful day, and thank you so much for joining.